Hey, welcome back. Today I wanted to share with you some clay projects that you can do. I'm going to be using air dry clay. I got this clay, I got it so long ago. I can't remember how much it cost, but I think it was about like $15, $10 or so. And then the mirror from Michaels. I used the mirror before, so I already have the little hook on the back that I just hot glued on. You can always use something else to make your mirror stay up on the wall, but I just used some rope and some hot glue, so that's how I did mine. So you won't see that in the last step because it's already done. All right, so what I'm just doing right now is just rolling out the air dry clay. I'm not trying to make it too thick or too thin because it has to grip onto both the front and the back of the mirror in order to stay. I don't know how it would be if you just had it on the front, but I'm just rolling it out so that it goes around the whole mirror so that it covers everything. And what I'm going for is kind of a metal look. So I want it to look like, hammered, I don't know how to explain it, like hammered metal, like just rough metal when I'm done. So I don't have to be too smooth and neat when I'm rolling out the clay. That's why you can see it's like lumpy, bumpy. And now that I have all the pieces that I need, I'm just pushing it down. This is a picture of one of the mirrors that inspired it. And you can see it's like uneven type look. So that's what I'm going for. I've seen several different ones and they all start at least a couple of $100s. This one is only 12 inches. They usually start around 20 something, 30 inches or so. If you can find a big circle mirror that size, that'd be great. When I'm pushing it down, you see I'm not going over the little hook piece because I'm gonna still need to hang it when I'm done. But I'm just pushing it down and then trying to attach the pieces so they look like they're together. And you could just leave it just like that, and then you would just have a cute little round mirror. But I wanted mine to look completely uneven, so I'm adding like little lumps and bumps and pieces. So I'm just going to play around with that till I get the shape that I want from it. Once you've added in all your little shapes and bumps, you kind of want to smooth it out so that it all looks like it flows together, because you're trying to make it look like one piece of metal when you're done. So I did that, and then you'll just leave it to air dry. I let mine air dry for 24 hours. And then once it was done, I came back and I spray painted it. You can see it had like a little bit of crack in there. Then I went back with the spray paint. You have to be careful with your spray paints. I put the wrong top on the wrong bottle, so you can see it says metallic finish there. That wasn't the spray paint I wanted. So that's how that one came out. The spray paint that I intended to use, which I had to go back and do, was a hammered spray paint. So I had to come back with that one. And you want to cover your glass too, so that you don't get the spray paint all over your glass. So I had to come back with that. So this one kind of has a mixed look because I came in with the first color and then ended up with this. But I love the way it turns out, and I think it's super awesome, and it's super easy and cheap. Now we're going to go on to the next one. For the next one, I'm still using the same container of the air dry clay that I had. So I'm doing all these projects with this one container of air dry clay. I didn't have two containers the size that I want, so I'm just trying to lay both of them out so I can just see the length that I want. I wanted to make like a trough type bowl. You see them all over the place and all over the high-end stores and different places, Home Goods, everywhere. I wanted a wood one for the longest time, but then I see everybody with them. So then I decided to make this one from clay and then give it a metal finish so it looks like a really distressed metal. So I had to roll out this stuff for forever. You don't want it too thin, but you don't want it too thick. You can go thicker, but you definitely don't want it too thin, because then it'll be floppy and it won't actually look like a natural material. All right, so I'm just using the container to give me the shape. This doesn't have to be perfect. If you were making a bowl, you could drape it over a bowl. You can do different ways with it. but I'm just going over it this way and trying to get the whole little trough long shape. And you can see once I had my base, I'm just adding on little pieces to make the sides, to build up the walls so that everything comes together, and then trying to press them as much together as possible so there's not a lot of seams and cracks. So I'm doing this little piece by little piece until I finish forming the whole shape of it. So I'm working one side and then the other side, and I'll just keep building it up and using that little container to give me the shape. I'm not going to leave the container in because when it dries, then I would have to get it out, and plus I only have one, and you can see how I'm kind of folded it over the thing. It would be hard to get out. You would have to like basically cut it out if you were doing that. So I'm not going to leave the container in to keep the shape. I'm just basically building it up, and that's why too you don't want to make it too thin, because if you made it too thin, when you take away the container to leave it to stand up, it wouldn't, because it would be thin and floppy. So like I said, you don't want to make it too thin, and you can just use whatever you're going to use to help it make its shape. And I'm doing one side by one side until I get the complete look that I want. Okay, so once I was done with the other side, you see I went to the other side and finished it, and then I'm just using whatever I have around to hold it up, making sure that it has the shape that I want. I kind of flattened out the top so that that looked like I wanted it to look, and I let that dry for 24 hours, just like I let the mirror dry for 24 hours, and then I came back and went on to the next step. If you're enjoying, please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe so you can follow along for more DIYs and tutorials. All right, so I don't know what I did with the picture of the spray paint, but I used the same spray paint I used for the mirror, and you can see where the spray paint didn't hit. I have to go back over there, but it has, especially if you see it, it has this nice chunky metal look, and I love it. So that is another quick and simple and easy one to do. And then now we will go on to the third project. All right, so for this project, this is what I had left of the clay, and so I was trying to figure out what to do with it. But like I said, I used just the one container of clay. I have another, and I'm thinking of some other projects I can do, but this is what I have left from this container. So for about $10-15, you can make a few different things. I'm going to make bookends with this, so I'm just trying to make sure that they are nice and smooth and even and round, and I'm just going to make two little curved pieces, so I want them to look the same. So I'm just rolling it out so I get the thickness that I want, and then kind of hooking the top over, and then I'm going to do the same thing with the other one and let it dry. You can see that it took me a while to get them to look similar to each other. You can do other shapes too, but like I said, I wanted just a simple hook shape. But once I got them to look as close as possible to each other as I could, again, I just left them to dry for the 24 hours. And you want to try, because they're bookends, to make sure that they can stand up and that they're flat on the bottom and at the part where it'll be hitting your books at. All right, so once it dried, I almost made the same mistake again, and I came back with the same spray paint, but I grabbed the right one this time, and I'm just gonna spray paint the top because I wanted to have a two-tone type look. So I'm not gonna do the whole thing, and you can just use regular acrylic paint too, because that's what I ended up using on the bottom. But I spray painted the top, let that dry standing up, so that I only had to do it one time. And then I came in on the bottom, and like I said, I'm just using some acrylic paint. So I'm just using some black acrylic paint, and I'm not evenly doing it. You can tape it off and do it nice and even and have clean lines, but I didn't want it to have that mass-produced type look with the lines, even though some things look awesome with the lines. I did get a spot there. I was going to go over it, but it ended up, because it wasn't dry yet, I was able to wipe it right off. But that's why you want to wait in between. And then this is how they look when they're done, and I think they're super cute, and they add a little pop to my shelf. So if you liked, please watch my other little DIYs and different things and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.